Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Hey, y'all, it's your man Lloyd Spence. And look, you can find all of the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the NBA and NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball, fights, and even next season's NFL futures, all at BetOnline. Because BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. So, very easy. It's very, very easy. All you have to do is go to the website today and use your mobile device to join and use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just go to BetOnline. It's where the game starts.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah. Can I make you move now? Yes, I can. So you can get this move in a bag of a can. You can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. The Popcorn World. 250 flavors.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
I thoroughly enjoy these summer shows because we get to talk about stuff we don't normally get to talk about during the year. It's fun stuff that is topical at best, and we get to pontificate about our opinions on these things. So that's always cool. So I'm excited about today's show. There's Kendrick Haskins, the Hall of Famer, live from Fern Creek in the building, and of course, Coach Charlie Ward, the only state championship coach on our screen today. He is here with us as well in full state championship regalia right now. Actually, he looks good. He looks fantastic right now. So,
and that's a good flex.
That is a good flex. That is a good flex. Absolutely, that's a good flex. We'll take that one for sure. But we got a little conversation that we're gonna have today. Some ACC talk. We're just calling this one the past, the present, and the future. And I've mixed up a couple of different topics to kind of pick the brains of my my brothers here. So when we talk about the future of the ACC, I want to look no further than some of the things that are going on news-wise in the transfer portal. And I've been saying it all along. One particular team in basketball is heating up like no other, and they made an interesting hire this past week, which we kind of anticipated. We didn't know when it was coming or if it was coming or in what capacity it would be coming, but it did come in that the University of Louisville hired the legend that is Milt Wagner to be a part of their staff, which got the entire attention of the United States of America because everybody was like, does this now mean that the number one recruit in the class of 2023, Mr. DJ Wagner, will be following his pawpaw to the University of Louisville? So Nick Saban has been talking about tampering and paying and all kinds of things, mucking up the works. Well, nothing mucks up the works like hiring family. So this is a really, though, in my opinion, a really unique set of circumstances because Kenny and Milt do have a bond. They are essentially like brothers. Yeah. So this is the kind of hire that probably could have happened whether DJ was the number one recruit or not, which makes this as murky as the waters can get for anybody looking on the outside in as to what may or may not take place. But I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on them hiring and what does this ultimately mean for the now and the future of U of L basketball?
Well, the hire, to me, I mean, just from the outside looking in, yeah, it does. But like we really look at it, they were teammates on that '86 national championship team. Milt was kind of like, you know, Charlie, you talk about you have your veterans when you go into the league. Milt was kind of like Kenny's veteran when he came to college, because Kenny told the stories when his first day on campus, he went to dinner with Milt and Milt's family, and they had dinner in Milt's apartment. And so they go back that far. Milt already lived here. Milt's lived here for 6 years. And so when you put all that, yeah, I mean, of course it has something to do with DJ, but it's not as much, you know, it's not as dirty as, you know, as we've seen in the past.
Right.
You know,
right.
And
Milt
dirty about it.
He does have a coaching background. Yeah, he was with Calipari at Memphis, but he was also at Auburn too. He's also an assistant at Auburn at one point. So it's not like you just bringing him in off the street.
Yeah, I mean, and even if you were bringing him off the streets, he's still a good person to have because of his background. I mean, even if he hadn't coached, and he does have relationships, especially with the university. He's an alumni, and then you have a friendship. I mean, those are when you talk about trying to build your team as a head coach. You want people that you don't have to second guess when you start thinking about making decisions and what they're going to be thinking and, you know, the communication. And so if you can hire people who have the pedigree and also, you know, they have, you know, what you need, then you do it. I mean, this is not like, even though his grandson is the number one player in the country. I'm sure, like you mentioned, that does have something to do with it, but it also is something else. Like he's a guy that he can trust.
Yeah. I want to ask you, Charlie Ward, because you are a state championship coach, and to be a state championship coach, you need a state championship coaching staff. How did you select the coaches that you put around you to build this culture of what you want to produce at FSUS?
Well, it's very similar to what I just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have our getaways, and of course, we carefully choose who I like to be on the staff just based upon their heart, mainly. That's one, and then sort of finding ways for them to soar in their strengths. And so, one of the things that we always talk about, one is loyalty. We can agree to disagree, but once we move out, we always have to be on the same page. And two, I'm gonna let you do your job. I mean, I hired you, and I'm gonna let you do your job. We can talk about things that you may need to grow in, or whatever the case may be, but I'm gonna let you do your job, and just carry your weight, play your role. If you need to be, if you're scouting an opponent, or if I ask you to do something, or you're supposed to be doing something, then that's what we expect. And so I just think, whenever you have a staff that you can trust, you can give them more. But when you're trying to plug holes, I mean, I've had a staff where, I could trust everybody except for one. And
Wow.
that one, kind of derailed the whole group, because everyone kind of gravitated towards, not liking this one person, because it just rubbed everybody the wrong way. And it would just cause dissension amongst the entire group in a lot of ways. And so it was just me trying to figure out how can I get him weeded out of the process, because he was that bad apple. And we were eventually able to do that. But I just think putting guys around you that you can trust. I mean, that's the number one thing, and comparable as well. That'd be
Right.
comparable and do their job.
Is that a harder thing to do when? Well, I guess the better question is this: is it harder to bring in somebody who is qualified but does not have necessarily relationships, or is it hard to bring in somebody that you have a great relationship, but you still got to kind of bring them? They don't have all of the experience that you need, which is the more difficult task.
Well, I mean, it's out there. You just have to go find it. And the first thing you go and look for are relationships that you already have. And when we talk about Kenny being a home run hire, I think his relationships that he has makes it a lot easier for people to want to get on board.
Right.
And that's, it's like LeBron James. I mean, whenever you put him in an environment, more people want to be around him because of his success, and because he has relationships and all the different things, and you want to be on his team because of that. And it makes it a lot easier. But if you go and hire someone that may have a few relationships, but don't have all the tentacles out there that you can touch, different parts of it, they can do the job, but it's a lot easier when you have someone that can touch quite a few people and get what you need. And it makes recruiting a lot easier. It makes getting the support that you need a lot easier, because you have more pockets you can pull from because of your relationships.
And in Milt's case with Kenny, I mean, it riles up the fan base. I mean, the reaction from the fan base has been fantastic, bringing Milt back.
It's a fever pitch now. Like, I mean, they Louisville fans went from feeling like this team and this program was in the muck and the mire, clay, as the old folk would say, to being back to where it was 2012, 2011, like 2013. It's really quite astonishing to see how fast the belief is come back to U of L. And it's interesting because now, with still needing a GM, Lord, I'm so in NBA playoff mode right now. Still needing an AD, it feels like I'm not understanding why it's taking so long to hire. Like, what are they looking for? Because this guy has done exactly what nobody's been able to do since Rick and them left. You know what I mean? So I don't understand what
from what I've heard, it's a thing of where the Brain Tom Jurich back crowd is so loud, and it's and some of it's within the money that wants him back, and it's kind of trying to figure out how to tell them no.
Find a way to say no. Right. What's the easiest way to say no to them? Like, what do they want? What is their
right? That's from what I've heard, it's kind of what they're trying to navigate around that.
That's fair. That seems fair. I mean, and difficult all at the same time. I don't. Also wanted to bring up a couple of different things that are kind of going on right now in football. It's interesting seeing everybody get prepared for the season, and the early rankings are coming out for some of the quarterbacks for you know across the country or whatever. Our guys in the ACC are making a lot of noise as it relates to being in some of these top rankings that are out there. Like one ranking, I think this is 24/7, I believe. They have as the top 25. They have DJ Uiagalelei. You know, I still got it, guys. They got him ranked 24th. Phil Jerkovic from Boston College is ranked 23rd. The replacement for Kenny Pickett, Keaton Slovis, is ranked 22nd on this particular list.
I'm not high on him, by the way.
You're not high on him, really?
No.
I've got to stop this list and find out why. What is it? Is it mechanics?
Yeah, no, not so much that. I saw him in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen him at USC, and he fits an okay quarterback.
Mm.
I mean, he's okay. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's just okay. He's not to me, he doesn't change the dynamic of a team unless you have dynamic players around him.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if USC didn't have it. I think he had one good year, then he had a knee injury or whatever the case may, or he was starting to have a good year and had a knee injury. And I saw him a little bit in the spring game, and he just didn't impress me to the point where he could carry a team by himself like a Kenny Pickett did for his team. That's just my thoughts.
You know what, Charlie? It's interesting. Go ahead, Kendrick. You can jump in there.
I was gonna say, well, if that's the case, maybe he needs that ability to run over to the sideline.
He's not
I'm so glad I let you go first on that one. That was really good. It's funny that you would say that, Charlie, because I wonder the drop off of some of the better teams teams that ended up being the better teams last year. I wonder what their rebound will be like. For example, they have Malik Cunningham, which I'm be honest with you, I don't agree with this. They have him ranked 17th on this list. And I'm like, I don't know if he's the 17th. So then you got to say, okay, well, who are they saying is better? Well, they're saying Aiden O'Connell Purdue is better. They're saying Will Levis is better, which I struggle with Will Levis because I do like him, but I don't know if I like him because of his grit. I think, or let me say this way, I think I like him more because of his grit than I do because of his actual play. Like, he's a gritty kid, and I like his toughness.
He's tough. I mean, he's the type. You look at him, and he's got size. He's got a good arm, and he can run the ball too. He can put the ball. He can take off and run the ball too, and he's tough. So he's the kind of quarterback that you'll fall in love with. Just on the outside, just looking at the broad scope of his game. There's some things I still want to see from him. But like they're of course here they're talking about he's going to be a Heisman candidate and maybe the number one pick in the draft next year.
Let's slow down with all that.
I'm not going to go that far, but one thing I can say about him is he elevated his team.
He did.
last
That's
year.
very true. Yeah.
Because when you start looking at quarterbacks, I mean, that's one of the things you have to look at is how do they elevate their team when they have talent, but now I'm the quarterback and I'm going to take us to that next level where they feel like they can compete with some of the top teams in the SEC. And so I think that was one of the things that hit me when I was watching him play was how he was able to elevate Kentucky. They were the year before they were winning games, but it was based all around defense. I mean, I watched them play Georgia the year before, and it was in a rainstorm, but they couldn't throw the ball. I mean, literally, they were one-dimensional. And so when you're one-dimensional against a team like that, you're definitely not going to win if they can put up some offense just a little bit. But what he did for that offense was elevate them to another level to be able to compete with a Georgia and even the Alabamas and the LSUs and all the teams that they're going to be playing. So that's one of the things I really admired about him was just the way he elevated his offense.
To me, his most likable quality is that he will do whatever you ask him to do. And he'll do it with everything he's got. He's going 100 miles per hour at that thing that you ask him to do. If you say run it, he run it. If you say dump it off 15 times, he'll do whatever you ask him to do, and he'll do it at a high level. So that's something. That is something. I don't know if that's Heisman level, and I certainly don't know if that's NFL draft level, but it's something. So it's something you can work with. The 12th ranked quarterback is Brendan Armstrong at Virginia. I get why the numbers bear out some things. I don't love Brendan Armstrong as much as some. Sam Hartman is back.
I think this is his 8th year.
It feels like it's his 8th year. It feels like he's going for a doctorate at this point. But apparently he's back. And so, wow, I can't believe Sam Hartman is back. But they have him ranked 11th, which I guess that makes sense.
He's older than Lamar, isn't he?
He's the Elliott Perry of Wake Forest at this point. Tyler Van Dyke is the 10th ranked. I'm very shocked at how many quarterbacks they have ranked ahead of Malik at this point. Devin Leary. Now I do like Devin Leary.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to like about Devin Leary.
Van Dyke is solid as well.
They have him ranked 9th. Let's see. Spencer Rattler leaving Oklahoma, headed to South Carolina, already ranked 8th, hadn't touched the field yet. That feels like hyperbole.
Even when I've seen him at Oklahoma, I don't know how you rank him 8th.
I don't either. That feels like hyperbole to me, but I'll stall him out.
I mean, it's a guy that got benched, twice in one season?
Right. And now all of a sudden he's the 8th best quarterback in the country. So
some of this is based on prior history. He's a 5-star, and this expectation of what his potential looks like, and so they feel like, I guess now he gets a new start and what have you. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs at South Carolina. Because he definitely meet the bill.
I think he can be good. I just don't know about 8th best quarterback in the country.
Right. And just for fun, the top 5, Arkansas's KJ Jefferson is at 5. He should make a reasonable leap this year. Dylan Gabriel, Oklahoma, is number 4. Caleb Williams, Oklahoma's quarterback from last year, is now USC's quarterback, and he's number 3. God bless the transfer portal. That's amazing to me that you can do that. But C.J. Stroud at Ohio State, number 2, and of course Bryce Young at Alabama is number 1 on this list. But it got me to thinking. I trolled a couple of sites, and one particular site that I found talked about the top 30 quarterbacks over the last 30 years. I obviously didn't want to do 30. That's a lot to do 30. But I did say, the top 30 ACC quarterbacks over the last 30 years. So I said, okay, well, let's see what's out there. And so they had 13 of them. I took 13 of the 30. And this particular site, ACCsports.com, which is a whole different thing, they had Kenny Pickett at number 13. They had Russell Wilson, which I still struggle that he was in the ACC, because every time I think of him, I think of Wisconsin. I don't think of NC State. Matt Ryan, huh?
I say he was at NC State.
He was at NC State technically, yes. So Matt Ryan, they had him at 11. Taj Boyd at number 10. They had Joe Hamilton, which I always forget about Joe Hamilton, that he was in the ACC at all. Yeah. They had Chris Winkie at number 8. Your guy, Chris Winkie.
Go no.
They had 7, which, I vehemently disagree with this.
Yeah.
Of all time. Of all time? Like, of all time?
Oh, it's completely ridiculous, but yes.
His numbers are good, right?
Yeah, but come on. Of all time, the 7th best of all time, Charlie, come on. And he's right behind someone that's near and dear to my heart, Charlie Ward. So I'm like, no. Let's not. That's first of all, this is insulting.
So I have a
should not be that close to Charlie Ward.
But I have a question about the pitcher.
Oh, go ahead.
Now, all the pitchers that you saw before, everybody was doing what?
They were passing.
You can still be throwing the ball there.
You might be on the run passing.
Well, I'm not staying in the pocket either.
Maybe the line broke down or something, Charlie. I don't know. So then I had to ask right. So then I had to ask myself, well, who are the 5 quarterbacks they said were better than Charlie Ward? So they said Trevor Lawrence, which I don't know, better, different.
He was good.
He was good. He was good. And I don't know how you judge errors. That's the other thing too. I don't know how to judge errors. So, Jameis,
he was good.
you feel me? You feel me? Like, Jameis, really? Okay.
I don't even think I'd put Jameis ahead of Lawrence. To be honest.
I don't even. Yeah. Lamar at number 3.
He was good. I mean, all these guys you can't argue with them. I mean,
I'm gonna declare it now, Charlie. This is a total humble flex free zone. So
I'm saying these guys are
impossible for you to get a humble flex right.
Yeah, you're not gonna get a humble flex for any of this, right?
No, but these guys are solid.
Yeah,
are they better than you though, Charlie?
I was early.
Well, you were the blueprint for all these guys, for a lot of these guys.
So I was early because all these guys are, within the past 6-7 years.
And see, I think this is a young person doing this list, so that's why there's a bias towards it. Phillip Rivers got the nod above you.
He was solid too. I mean, it's hard to argue with his numbers.
His numbers are great. The results are not so much, though, Charlie. And then the final one.
What do you mean by results?
Well, what did NC State do when he was there?
They won a few games.
Exactly, a few games. That's my point, Charlie Ward. Winning has to matter. All right, and then the number 1 was Deshaun Watson.
It's hard to argue with. Now, Phillip Rivers, he was a very good pro guy.
He's a very good pro guy, yes.
And he was solid college.
Well, he put up a goo gob of numbers there.
Yeah.
But you can do that in a losing effort. When you're not winning games and you're behind every game 20 points, you're going to put up big numbers. So the same thing with Sam Howell, the same thing. That's what I'm saying. So the numbers don't always tell the entire story, which is what frustrated me about the list. Like, I don't know who put this list together, but you go back and watch the film. I don't know if you come up with the same listing.
Yeah,
well, I'm just happy to be on the list.
You were on the list, so that's one.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Charlie's definitely on the list. Charlie's definitely. I mean, you can argue between Charlie, Lamar, and Deshaun, and even Trevor Lawrence, but I don't know about Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers shouldn't be in the top 5. I would take Phillip out and put you in the top 5. But I'll say this though, to the credit of the writer of the article, he did say he struggled not to put you in the top 5. So I said, okay, well, at least you struggled.
Well, I'll just say I'm grateful that I can represent the I'm at the 30-year mark. So I'm glad he cut off at 30 years.
You're right. He cut you right off, right? Right. That was good. That was good. So I have a question though. In a way too early to even have this conversation moment, who are you most looking forward to that is not your school? So we can't say Louisville, and you can't say Florida State. So what team are you most looking forward to seeing what they bring back this year? I'll go first to make it easy for you guys. Now that I know Sam Hartman is still there, I'm kind of curious to see if they can repeat this, because they should be able to repeat it.
They should.
If he's still there, he was the reason why they were there last year. So he should be able to repeat.
They'll be interesting. They're going to be interesting next year. Jacob stole my thunder. I'm interested to see what Miami does with Cristobal and just see how that whole thing pans out. I'm really interested to see what Miami does.
Okay.
I'm interested to see Clemson.
Okay, see how they adjust to all the changes.
They're not big on the transfer portal.
That obvious.
And they are seeing if they have come back to the pack. Because last year they came back to the pack. They lost 3 games or whatever it was. And so people and we Florida State could have easily beat them. I know they had a late drive to win the game, and so it'd be curious to see if they still have what they've had in the past, or has teams caught them in the sense of being able to be competitive and win some of those close games against them, or if they're going to just do what they normally do.
Well, I'll say this: there's obviously been a lot of transfer portal movement in the ACC, and it's going to make for an interesting season. But there's also some other news that is coming out that there's been some very heavy discussions that starting in 2023, they're going to eliminate the divisions.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. You think it's going to happen, Charlie?
Oh, it's already happened. And
do you like that? How do you feel about that?
I do. For the year that we didn't have divisions, we ended up with the 2 best teams. And I think when you start looking at the divisions, you can have a good schedule, within conference, and still the 2 best teams are come up from that. And so because sometimes we've seen the ACC ACC championship game, especially in football, the games aren't even competitive.
Right.
And it may be a repeat of 2 teams that may have played early in the year, but at some point you want to get the 2 best teams.
Right.
Do you guys think this is also possibly a way for the ACT to maybe try to draw Notre Dame back in?
It may be. I don't see that being the reason why Notre Dame would want to come back. But I just wonder if the ACC is going to expand more, with not just Notre Dame, if they're going to expand more beyond Notre Dame.
Who would you expand them to? Who would you if you're the ACC commissioner, who are you going after?
Cincinnati.
I
think they would be a good fit. Maybe UCF.
Man, that's amazing that UCF has come this far this fast.
Right.
It really is amazing. But they're a huge school, so it's not that surprising.
Right. And then especially with Cincinnati, with their programs, not just football, but football is good. Basketball is always competitive. They're competitive in a lot of sports. So I think Cincinnati would be a great fit.
Cincinnati would love that because that way they don't have to try to figure out how they're going to keep their coach one more season. Because at this point, I can only imagine he's not long to get out of there. Somebody's going to offer him something.
They're going to go to the Big 12.
Well, but until it's done, it's done. And it's not done. You know what I mean? Until the ink dries. So,
right.
I mean,
it's odd to me that Cincinnati's not in a major conference. Them and Memphis. Those are two programs that surprise me that they're not in ACC or Big 12 or one of those. Because they're
right, because they offer more complete.
Great tradition.
Yeah, and they offer more complete programs. Like they're not just.
And you're in good media markets.
So good media markets. Yeah. Plus the ribs in Memphis are amazing. So
Penny's reaching out to Kenny about renewing that Louisville Memphis rival.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nice. Okay. All right. Okay. It's quite fascinating to see where we're headed, but I feel like there are some major changes coming down the pipe. My last question to you guys of the day is, on the backside of all of this conversation between the back and forth between Nick and Jimbo and Dion and all those people, and everybody's talking about whatever.
It's been fantastic. It's been fantastic.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, by the way. It's great theater. Great theater. But on the backside of it all, how much do you think any of this is going to lead to even greater discussion, especially combined with the resigning of the NCAA President Mark Emmert? How much of this do you think in this season is going to accelerate the conversation of the Power Fives breaking off and doing their own thing?
I think it's accelerated immensely. I mean, I'm thinking within 10 years. What do you think, Charles?
You think 10? You think it'll take 10?
Within 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's definitely trending. The more I keep trying to figure out how they can keep power. But there needs to be one central thing to join kind of everybody together. I don't know what that is, or if there will be splits where there is one central for the FBS, the FCS, Division 2, 2 and 3 probably go together. NIA,
right.
Those will probably go together. But there has to be some central, you got to have somebody running the show. You can't have a whole bunch of people trying to make decisions for, a group of people. And
that's the problem with the NCAA now.
Right, and they don't want, and they definitely don't want to repeat themselves. So to me, I think you say within 10. I would venture to say it may happen sooner than that.
It might.
I think the NIL transfer thing is the accelerator to all of this, because there at some point. So somebody said something last night on the Five, and shout out to the brothers of the Five, but I thought it was a good comment. They said Nick wasn't speaking to Jimbo. Jimbo thought he was, but he wasn't. Nick was speaking to his boost. Right. He was trying to speak to his boosters and say, if y'all want me to compete, don't complain to me when I can't compete in the next 3 years if you're not going to pony up the money. So
Dion even said that.
Right. So with that being said, if that's true, you can't continue down this path where it's just the Wild Wild West and you can, do whatever you want to do.
Well, let's just call it for what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama's been doing what? For how long?
Winning for how long? For a long time.
For a long time, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
People are starting to catch up with what they've been doing is the issue.
Yeah.
And so what's been going on is not just Alabama, it's been the rat race, because they know all these guys who've been, they go and take their stop at Alabama, and they get to see all the things that's going on and how they build a program and their teams and the facilities and all the different things that they do there to help get those kids there on campus. I mean, winning is part of it, but there are some other factors in that matter as well. And that's what now people can do that, and there's no issue. And so, yes, he may be talking to multiple people, but it's what it is. And I still think if you're going to get in the rat race, you gotta go above the line. If you're trying to say and do what all the other teams are doing that's at the top, because they're big money, factories. That's what Texas A&M's doing. I mean, that's the reason why they're doing what they're doing as far as getting the recruits. And Jimbo's been very good in recruiting. I mean, he recruited, here at Florida State before he fell off. And that national championship that he won. I mean, all those kids on both sides of the ball were drafted in some form or fashion.
Yeah,
and I mean, they were a very talented group that he put together. And so, I just think it's one of those deals where he recruits well. He knows how to do it, get people to buy into what he's trying to get done, to be able to compete with the top epsilon of talent. But I don't know the spat that they had. I wouldn't have been opening no cans because I don't want people to be trying to figure out what I'm doing.
Right.
Because they will.
What I've been doing.
Right. They absolutely will. You're 1,000% correct. We are at the finish line of today's show today, so I will give leeway to my brothers to give their final thoughts and their shout outs. So Mr. Kendrick, Mr. Ward, who would you like to shout out today?
Well, I'm going with Coach Lonnie Alameda. Even though our Lady Seminoles lost, this weekend to Mississippi State, which they played well. Just her humility and the way she runs her program. I'm so, I'm always enamored by coaches who have that type of humility and perspective in losing. And so I'm happy for her and the team and the way they handled the loss. I heard my girl Pinky Cole, y'all probably don't know who she is, but she's the owner of Slutty Vegan. Yeah. She said, as she spoke to a commencement, I think it was Clark Atlantic University, she said, failure or fail means finding aspirations and losing. And so I admire Coach Lonnie because she's found aspiration in losing and being humble and, giving the flowers to Mississippi State because they did a great job.
Awesome. Mr. Haskins?
I'm gonna give a shout out to U of L head coach Kenny Payne because we did a one-on-one interview with him yesterday. Was that yesterday? It literally we had already had it set up, and so we did that at 1:00, and then we had the 3:00 press conference with Milt, and it's embargo, so it's not gonna air. It might be about a month, but he's because we're letting everybody's getting them, so it's right. We're letting everybody get them. But he was great, humble. We asked what would winning a national championship in Louisville mean to him, and the first thing he said is what it would mean to the community. And he went on about the community. He talked about what it would mean to him.
Yeah.
I really admired that answer because he's looking at it from the whole community.
He gets
he's attacking this job with the community. He's with the community, and so just shout out to him. Shout out to him for doing it, and then just saying his humbleness in the whole interview was fantastic.
Awesome. I will close us out here with just very simple words. on behalf of everybody here, and we've done this all week, but I don't want my brothers here not to have the opportunity to do it as well. But we will close out this week continually praying and giving our thoughts and our love, sending our love to Uvalde, Texas, and this entire state and community for trying to go through this healing process of this horrific situation that has taken place here. And really, man, we hope and pray that people will stop putting money, power, and things like that in front of humanity. Let's be human first and let everything else kind of sort itself out. But hopefully we can get this right and protect our families and protect our children and do better with what we approaching each other and dealing with each other. And so with that being said, that is Charlie Ward, that is Kendrick Haskins, and this is BLEAV in the ACC, and we'll see you guys next time. You've been listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard.